Work. Let's get it. YouTube, what it do? It's your boy Black Atheist back with it. You know what time it is. You know what's going on. This is Everything Wrong in the Bible. We are on Genesis chapter 33. Before we get started, let's do some housekeeping, right? Make sure you liking the video. Make sure you leaving a comment. That's what lets YouTube know that y'all rocking with it, and they gonna push it out to more people. So make sure you leaving a like. Make sure you leaving a comment. The goal I try to push for is always like 100 likes, 150 likes, 100 comments, 150 comments. Around that 100 to 150 mark, that's a good video for me. YouTube pushes those videos out more. The more likes they get, the more comments they get. So make sure y'all liking the video. Make sure y'all leaving a comment. Let's get straight into it. Okay, Genesis chapter 33. When we last left off in Genesis 32, Jacob wrestled with God. Yes, literally, physically wrestled with the God of the Bible. And so after wrestling with God, God changed his name from Jacob to Israel. And now he's about to meet his brother Esau. But remember, if you watch Genesis 32, you know, him and Esau were on bad terms, and he was trying to bribe his brother. He was trying to send him 200 cattle, 200 livestock, servants and slaves and shit, hoping to ease the tension. And so we're going to see what the fallout is. Let's see where the story goes from there. It says Jacob meets Esau. Genesis 33 verse 1. It says Jacob looked up, and there was Esau coming with his 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the two female servants, aka slaves. He put the female servants and their children in front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph in the rear. He himself went on ahead and bowed down to the ground 7 times as he approached his brother, right? Because Esau won't smoke with him. He stole his blessing. Now he trying to pray to him. Now he trying to be his servant. He want to get back in good graces with Esau. Verse 4, it says, but Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him. He threw his arms around his neck and kissed him, and they wept. Right? Okay, so I guess Esau has already forgiven him. I don't know. Why would he forgive him? You know, he brought 400 men, I'm assuming as an army, to eradicate his brother, but I guess soon as he saw him, it kind of all that went away. But if this is the fallout, then there was no need for the last chapter, because it's like Esau had just forgot about all the shit he done been through, you know, all the blessings Jacob took. It's like, I don't know, I guess he not mad no more. He did all this, gathered all these 400 men just to see him, and you know, none of that shit matters no more. Fuck the army, fuck the 400 men. I'm not here to slaughter you. I'm not here to hurt you. You know, I just want to reconcile with my brother. Verse 5, it says, then Esau looked up and saw the women and children. Who are these with you? He asked. Jacob answered, they are the children God has graciously given your servant. Then the female servants and their children approached and bowed down. Next, Leah and her children came and bowed down. Last of all came Joseph and Rachel, and they too bowed down. Esau asked, what's the meaning of all these flocks and herds I met? To find favor in your eyes, my lord, Jacob said. But Esau said, I already have plenty, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself. No, please, said Jacob. If I have found favor in your eyes, accept this gift from me. For to see your face is like seeing the face of God, now that you have received me favorably. It's crazy that Jacob refers to seeing Esau's face as seeing the face of God right after he wrestled with God face to face and he saw the face of the actual God. So that's kind of interesting. He knows what God looks like, and God, or his brother Esau, reminds him of the God he just wrestled with. Esau has already for giving Jacob. He has favor with him. Jacob is still like, just take the gifts anyway, because I still want you to have them. That's cool or whatever. I guess he's still trying to bribe him, even though he already said we on good terms. He like, no, still take this shit just in case, because I don't want no smoke. I don't want you to remember. I don't want you to look back and regret forgiving me. So, make sure you take this shit, because I don't want no problems with you. Verse 11 says, please accept the present that was brought to you, for God has been gracious to me and I have all I need. Because remember, y'all, God blesses Jacob. God sends angels. God provides for Jacob. God made sure that Jacob had everything he needed from day one. He has not suffered. He has not gone hungry. He has not gone without, right? God has taken care of his favorite, because the God of the Bible picks favorites. His favorite person up until this point is Jacob. He provides for Jacob. He won't provide for you. He won't help you and your fucking family. You don't get to be like Jacob. Starve, suffer, die, and go through all this unimaginable shit. Live a life with nothing. Don't have access to shit. You don't even have the bare minimum. There are people in places on this planet right now that don't have shit, and they believe in the same God as Jacob. Jacob gets it all. Why would you worship a God that picks favorites? Even if it's not about you, even if you pray to this God, but you still good, what about the people that pray to this God that are not good? What about the people who believe in the same God as Jacob that don't get what Jacob is having access to? What about those people? Now I want you to understand that God is providing these things for Jacob. It's not about no man's free will. This ain't about going out and do it yourself. This ain't about picking your bootstraps up. No. The God of the Bible has provided for Jacob. The God of the Bible has given Jacob everything he needs. And so you got to wrestle with that. You got to ask these type of questions. Why would I pray to a God that would bless Jacob and not these people over here? Is Jacob more important than these people? Why would you pray to a God that has one person as his favorite, or one person has more importance than another person, when the God doesn't have to act that way because he's all powerful according to the Christians and the Jews? This God is all powerful, so he doesn't have to pick favorites. He has a limitless supply. He has a surplus. He'll never run out of resources to give, so why not just give it to everybody? And then it's like, well, if he blessed everybody, it'd be heaven on earth. But I'm not even asking for heaven on earth. I'm just saying like the bare minimum basic shit. There are people in the middle of nowhere that don't have no access to nothing. There are people who are starving because of someone else's free will. And if they have a relationship with the same God Jacob has a relationship with, they should be able to be provided for the same way this character in the book is. Because according to the Christians and the Jews, we are God's children, right? So if we're God's children, there is no excuse for taking care of one of your children and not the rest that need your help just as much as Jacob does. They thanking you and they ain't getting shit. The least you could do is give them what they need to survive and thrive and be fruitful and multiply like you asked them to do. But that's just black atheists punching at the wind. I apologize for giving a fuck about everybody else, and I apologize for not being selfish. If I was a Christian, I'd be praying for everybody else, and it would bother me if they didn't get the things they needed after I prayed to the same God as Jacob. Come on, let me talk to him. Come on, get this work now. Let Black cook. Okay, we're on the end of verse 11. It says, "For God has been gracious to me, and I have all I need." And because Jacob insisted, Esau accepted it. Then Esau said, "Let us be on our way. I'll accompany you." But Jacob said to him, "My Lord knows that the children are tender and that I must care for the ewes and cows that are nursing their young. If they are driven hard just one day, all the animals will die. So let my Lord go on ahead of his servant, while I move along slowly at the pace of the flocks and herds before me and the pace of the children, until I come to my Lord in Seir." Esau said, "Then let me leave some of my men with you." But why do that? Jacob asked. Just let me find favor in the eyes of my Lord. So that day, Esau started on his way back to Seir. Jacob, however, went to Succoth, where he built a place for himself and made shelters for his livestock. That is why the place is called Succoth. Hold up. They give the name of the place. Then they talk about how he built a place for himself and his livestock. And then they go on to say that is why the place is named Succoth. But was the place already named Succoth before he got there? Because if it wasn't already, like, I'm not understanding that part. Because it says, Jacob went to Succoth, where he built a place for himself and made shelters for his livestock. That is why the place is called Succoth. So I don't understand that. What was the name of this area before he named it Succoth? Or was it just a random empty spot nobody had claimed already? I don't know. I'm just nitpicky. My bullshit meter is going off. I'm finding this shit. I'm trying to go through every fucking verse. If it smell like bullshit, it might be. Verse 18, it says, after Jacob came from Padan Aram, he arrived safely at the city of Shechem in Canaan and camped within sight of the city. For 100 pieces of silver, he bought from the sons of Hamor, the father of Shechem, the plot of ground where he pitched his tent. There he set up an altar and called it El Elohe Israel. Right? You know, every time I read these, I'm always wondering who wrote this and like how do they, like, it reads like a storybook, but it's like the person that wrote this, how do they have a first-hand account of everything being said, every place they went, everything they bought, every subtle detail of these people's lives when they weren't there? Who is this narrator? Who is this third person view? What is this? How do they know this? I'm always curious about that. How do they know what is going on? Like literally, how do they know the literal details of what was going on when the person that wrote this was not there? How do they know what he bought and what exact words he said to Esau and Jacob? How do they know? Why should I believe what this person wrote down? But that is the end of Genesis chapter 33. Clearly still bullshit. I'm not getting a sense of anything being, the word of God. I still feel like this is mythology. I'm not convinced that it's not. It reads like a fictional story with fictional characters. In my opinion, I think whoever wrote this, they were writing this narrative to like create history. You see what I'm saying? Like, because in my opinion, these people did not have their own like deity and mythology at first, because they worshiped El, not Yahweh. Yahweh came a little later. But it's like these stories were written to like backdate them and to write them into history, because that's the way it reads. It says, because at the end it's like he set up an altar and called it El Elohe Israel. But we know the Israelites worshiped El. That was their God. Before they worshiped Yahweh exclusively, they believed in a pantheon of gods. So it's like the more and more I read them, the more and more I read these stories, it's like they're trying to backdate the information and write the Israelites into history to explain where they came from, how they got their name, when did they arrive in Canaan, what's their relationship to El, and that's what I'm getting. The more and more we go further along, it's like they wrote these mythological stories, these made up stories, to explain or to try to like give themselves a historical account. But we know that these stories are made up. Like just off the top, we know that the creation narrative is fake. The flood never happened. Nobody's living 900 years. Shit like that. When you look at the first chapters of Genesis, it's like that shit didn't happen. So How is this supposed to be the beginning of time when they started off wrong? You know what I'm saying? And that's just what I'm getting. The more and more we read, it's starting to feel like they're trying to write themselves in because they don't have shit. So that's what these narratives and these stories are doing. That is what I'm convinced of until further notice. But that is the end of the chapter. If you made it through, man, I appreciate y'all for rocking with this shit. We hit 4,000. I got some exciting shit coming. You know, we on the road to 5,000 now. Thank y'all for supporting the channel. Make sure you leave a like and a comment. I'm trying to get 100 to 150 likes and comments. You know, that'll get the video pushed out. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all. Black Atheist.